Boy, oh boy, we got a lot to cover, guys. We got a lot to cover here. Former FBI Director James Comey's punk. Wait until the 15-second mark so I can start cussing at this guy. Okay, punk ass James Comey, guys, posts on X a picture of the numbers 8647, right? He drew them with seashells. And this moron's acting like he's acting like he doesn't know what that shit means, right? And we know that 86 stands for, it pretty much means kill 47, which what 47th President Donald Trump is pretty much threatening Donald Trump, guys. This was a famous phrase used by mobsters to allude to 86 being, take him 8 miles away from out of town, bury him 6 feet under the ground, right? So 86 was like code word for kill, like for the mafia, right? And it's funny because James Comey built a career prosecuting these mob guys, but now he doesn't know what that means, right? Which is, again, another interesting debacle with this whole thing. But we're going to, it's about to get real messy here, guys, because we're going to expose, a lot of people are also taking note about another event that occurred throughout our history here and how these numbers are related. Weird message, guys. Weird message. We're not letting down on this one, man. This guy belongs in jail. Let's get into what Tulsi Gabbard got to say.
Gabbard's the director of national intelligence. Are you buying that the former FBI director didn't know what 86 Trump? Buying that the former FBI director didn't know what 86 Trump meant?
Absolutely not, Jesse. That is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI, a guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States. So for Comey to think that we, the American people, are so stupid as to think that he, as a former FBI director, former prosecutor, and someone who clearly pays attention to what's going on, would believe his lie that he didn't know what this actually was calling for. The dangerousness of this, Jesse, cannot be underestimated. When we have 2 assassination attempts on the president's life, when we have people who look to guys like Comey, who've been celebrated by MSNBC and the Democrat elite and CNN as the beacon of integrity, the law and order guy, the guy who would tell the truth no matter what the consequences. This is the guy who's issuing a hit on President Trump, the president that the American people voted for. So it's guys like Comey and others who call the president the modern day Nazi, people who are in great positions of influence, who are saying that President Trump poses an existential threat to our country. These are people who hate democracy and hate the American people because they cannot stand that the people overwhelmingly chose to elect Donald Trump and send him back to the White House. So they are seeking other means to get their way and to try to remove him from that position.
How serious is the administration taking this, and what are the next steps going to be?
We're taking this very seriously. As you mentioned, the Department of Homeland Security, and specifically Sean Curran, the current Secret Service director, a man who has been willing to lay down his life as the lead of President Trump's Secret Service detail for years now. He takes this seriously and is leading the investigation into this threat. There has to be accountability for this. There was a Rutgers study that just came out a little over a month ago, Jesse, that asked respondents their view on these calls to assassinate President Trump. And over 55% of respondents felt that murdering President Trump would be, quote unquote, somewhat justified. This is the effect of people like James Comey doing this kind of stuff. This study also pointed out that there is a quote unquote assassination culture that is starting to take over the views of what they call the extreme left. We, the American people, cannot take this lightly. Whatever your politics, we cannot allow people to get by without being held accountable for this kind of public call to assassinate the President of the United States.
Do you believe that Comey is goading you guys to come after him because he wants to be a political martyr? He wants to be set up so he can say, oh, look, we were right. Donald Trump is a dictator. They're coming after me. They're arresting me. They're interrogating me. I was just using my free speech.
You know, whatever his intent, I will tell you that there is a guy in Georgia who was issuing threats on my life about a month ago, and he's in jail today. He has been indicted with a crime, as he should have been, and he is in jail as we speak. So whatever James Comey intent, he and people like him need to be held to account according to the law, which is something that he claims to have given his life for and stands by the rule of law. Fantastic. The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
Director Gabbard, thank you so much.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, that clown needs, you know, James Comey was fired by Trump during his first term. You know what's wild is Kash Patel was the first person they kind of looked towards, you know, because he's the FBI director, and he kind of gave the first response to this whole thing. He says, we are aware of the recent social media post by former FBI Director James Comey, directed at President Trump. We are in communication with the Secret Service and Director Quran. Primary jurisdiction is with SS on these matters, Secret Service, and we, the FBI, will provide all necessary support. One thing I want to point out, guys, so a lot of people are looking at the, you know, the 8647, because a lot of people have not heard of that 86 term before. Like they never knew that meant like to kill somebody, right? Take him 8 miles away from out of town, 6 feet below the ground, right? So that was like an old mafia term. A lot of people didn't know that. What's interesting, and a lot of people are starting to point out, which is this is kind of strange that he did it at this day, because this is another thing that we have to take a look at, guys, which is which I took a look at, which, like, you know, everybody's kind of talking about. It has been 8,647 days since 9/11. I didn't believe it at first. I had to pull my calculator out and do the calculation. I was like, no fucking way. Look at this shit. September 11, 2001 to May 15, 2025, 8,647 days. And he posted this today. And I was like, what the hell? Wait. That can't be right. So I put it in my calculator and I'm like, okay, let me double check this shit. And it's been 8,647 days since 9/11. Is this guy, is there more than one message that he's trying to put out there for the people to see? Like, is there more than one message he's alluding to? Because this isn't just a coincidence, guys. I mean, you know, he's pretty much saying we're going to kill, he threatened to kill Trump, right? With the number 8647, he chose that number because he's worked on, he's prosecuted mafia members like throughout his entire career. And then look at that, like the last biggest event that caused us to go into a 20-year war with like Iraq and Afghanistan, which was probably the biggest terrorist attack it is, I think, in American history, was September 11, 2001. And this guy's over here talking about killing Trump on the 8,647th day since 9/11 happened, right? I'm telling you, man, this is like some satanic ritual shit, bro. Like, this is, and a lot of people are mentioning that, like, Q is, that there's 17 shells make up the number 8. and Q is the 17th letter, and you know, people are doing all this other crazy shit with this, but holy shit, man. Crazy. Let's pray for Trump, guys. Let's pray for Trump.